As you know, Ryan, people across the nation started to doubt this program after the 10-3 season, and but a lot of people obviously also took the approach, hey, it's a one-time thing, and it wasn't a lousy season, but it was a downgrade, obviously, from the Clemson standard that was established circa 2015 on. And now we've got back to back, what again, based on Clemson's standard, even though there was a conference championship, is substandard. Do you think it's, I know you would rather be rolling through championships, but it's almost a little more intriguing for the rest of us to see a program that's still strong, but seems to need to prove itself, and maybe taking a more Clemson approach of Dabo Sweeney's earlier years, like, okay, we need to prove some people wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that Dabo Swinney's the best when he can kind of use that motivation. Everyone's doubting us. We're on the Roy bus. It's Alabama and everyone else, or now it's Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State, and then everyone else. But it's certainly not Clemson that people are interested in. So I think that's fine. That's great. It's good to be overlooked in that regard. Um, but I do think some of the criticisms of the program have been fair. I mean, the wide receivers have not been good, and I was kind of during both DJ Uyunglele years. I was kind of pointing to the receivers, not to completely excuse poor quarterback play, but I don't know how what quarterback could make up for guys that just can't go up and win 50-50 balls, guys that don't break away. Um, so maybe it was the coaching staff, and they brought in a new offensive coordinator, so maybe that's the solve. It's also a new quarterback, but I think there's questions. So I do think this is kind of a prove it year, and deservingly so.
But I want to bring up a star in Will Shipley because he intrigues me. He seems to be the latest version of a Christian McCaffrey. And I never turn on the TV and am not impressed by whether it's the breakaway ability, the sheer toughness, the willingness to carry defenders after a seventh consecutive carry and a fourth quarter drive, whatever it takes to make plays and win games.
Yeah, he's maybe not a burner like CJ Spiller was, but his toughness is incredible. Against Wake Forest last year, there was a play in particular where he got hit and he spun and he tripped and he eventually he dove and pulled a guy to get into the end zone, and those kind of plays are special. He also jumped over a guy against Louisville, so he's got that athleticism too. He's great, real leader on the team as well. Guy that kind of gets overlooked is his backup, Phil Maffa. He actually led the offense in PFF grade. That 1-2 punch is really exceptional, maybe the best in the ACC.
Are you at all thinking in the back of your mind about Florida State for the first time in 5 or 6 years?
Oh yeah, I think Florida State is very good. I think Jordan Travis is a great quarterback. I think that matchup is super interesting on a couple of levels. In some respect, it doesn't matter because they'll just rematch in the ACC championship game, but then the other team has to be perfect the rest of the way. Um, but I think it's a really interesting clash of philosophies. Dabo, sometimes to my chagrin, has pretty much completely ignored the transfer portal, only grabbing backup quarterbacks that he seemingly doesn't intend to ever play. So he's basically not used it at all. And Coach Mike Norvell at Florida State has done the opposite. His high school recruiting is okay. I mean, for Florida State, it's bad. For normal programs, it's fine. But he has just been the best in the whole country at getting these players from the portal. They got, um, you know, the best. He's like the H back from South Carolina. They got the very best, top-rated cornerback in the entire ACC out of Virginia. So they're not shy about it, and so far that hasn't destroyed their culture. So that's always the concern, and so far it's fine. So we'll see a total clash of philosophies in that one. That'll be really interesting.
Ryan, I don't think we had a chance to talk about this because this is fairly new within the last couple months, and that's the ACC scheduling format that starts this year. Of course, the abolishment of the divisions, and you reminded me of such when you said about the rematch that's a possibility between anyone, but specifically Clemson and Florida State. So, are you satisfied with what was given to Clemson, and do you like this format?
Uh, Absolutely, 100% on both accounts. I thought it was smart that the ACC pitted uh, Clemson, Florida State early. So if there's a rematch, it's intriguing. You don't want that like in November and then like 2 games later they're playing again. So that's what they made a point to avoid. The best ACC championship not necessarily the best game per se, but the most interesting matchup was in 2020 with no divisions, where Clemson rematched Notre Dame. So we're kind of getting back to that style. I think it'll be better. It'll definitely be more interesting in terms of rotating the schedule. I can't tell you how tired I am of Clemson going up to Boston College and Syracuse and Wake Forest, and even some of those teams are good and Syracuse gives us challenges, but there's no tradition to to Wake Forest, but to Syracuse and Boston College, not much tradition. You don't see those fans, you don't work with those fans. So at minimum, give me some variety. So we'll get more of Miami, we'll get more of North Carolina, more Virginia Tech, Virginia, which actually does have some tradition against Clemson. So I think this is an outstanding change.
And I got to say, I don't know if are you going to the game on Saturday?
No, I'll be watching this one at home, taking it
Okay.
in with the baby.
Well, I know that many times you have gone to the spring game, but have also watched it on TV. And I got to say that Clemson, for as much as I'm reminded when I turn on anybody's spring game, that about three plays into it, yeah, this is a spring game, because I get a little excited. I see the spring game schedule come out, and I'm like, okay, well, because of what I do here, of course I'm going to cover them, but also I want to see some football. And then it's again quickly a reminder that it's really not football, but we have a chance for that first and foremost based on our first topic, but also what I've enjoyed about the Clemson spring game, and it was what has made it the most popular for me to watch, is because the networks have caught on to, let's not broadcast this like a regular football game, because it doesn't matter if they don't get 4th and 3. They're playing
Right.
each other. It doesn't matter. Let's present it like a TV show. It's like a season preview. Talk to coordinators, talk to coaches, roll out the various position battles, the whole thing. And with Clemson in particular, having what I think is generally the most interesting head coach in the nation, they're down on the field talking to Dabo. So I enjoy the Clemson spring game from a broadcasting standpoint, just because I get to listen to Dabo break down his personnel groups.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't disagree with that. I think it's almost, I don't want to say it's better on TV, but they do a very good job capturing it and making it fun. I was there in person last year and it was cold and both quarterbacks didn't look great. They didn't have any wide receivers. It was kind of a downer. So I'm excited to see good on good. Dabo Sweeney talking it up on the field, getting you hyped for the season. Then you got to wait several months afterwards, and you're dying after that. But I'm excited. I think this is, at least for me, and I think for a lot of Clemson fans, the most anticipated spring game that I can remember.
Ryan, before I let you go, while on the subject of Dabo Sweeney, I think this is the case. If it's not, he's certainly in the top 3 or 4. Why is he the most polarizing head coach in college football?
Because he doesn't always choose to keep his mouth shut. He expresses his opinions, and sometimes they're not always politically correct. And that's going to get you in trouble with the folks on Twitter and the media types. And he chooses to not care about it and just be authentic. And some people aren't cool with that, and that's fine. He's not trying to get everyone to like him. But that's sort of the risk you run when you're authentic and willing to speak up.
So it sounds like on one hand that you are not completely pleased because he hasn't gone the transfer portal route, but at the same time, he did recognize a situation in which a coordinator needed to be changed and there needed to be an upgrade. And he could have just kind of slid along as we're the ACC champs, nothing's wrong here. And he did make that big move.
Yeah, and to be completely honest, and I think even I don't think it was he was planning it all along. I was saying he's not making a move. This is incredible. He's satisfied. He's content. And then he made a move and blew that completely up. So on the one hand, I feel like I was right that he made the move that I was saying he should have done. On the other hand, I was wrong because I said he wouldn't do it, and he pulled the trigger. And he didn't just get a new guy. He got the number one guy that everyone wanted. Brought him in from the team that just played for a national championship. So you really couldn't do any better. So when he makes a move, boy, he's an impressive guy. He keeps that culture. He brings in elite talent from the coaching ranks. So, um, I think it's really interesting that he kept the rest of the offensive staff, and Riley was still willing to go there with the staff that was intact. I think that's an interesting twist or quirk to it. So yeah, I think it's a great move by Dabo Sweeney, and I think he proved me wrong.
Ryan Cantor, Shaking the Southland, also tigernet.com. And you got to catch Ryan's YouTube channel. And we will leave the link down in the description section. Just look up Ryan Cantor, but grab the link in the description section and you can follow Ryan's work on Clemson football and basketball. Ryan, appreciate you being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing the YouTube channel.